Hello and welcome back to Heroic Stats episode 30, the only podcast created by any heroics that is weekly. It's also the only podcast created by any heroics at the moment. My name is, of course, Stephen, and I am joined, as always, by Jordan Partridge. Say hello, Jordan.
Hello, Jordan.
And Mr. David Farmer. Hello, David.
Good day, as they say in Australia sometimes.
I've heard they say that sometimes, especially during the daytime.
Yeah.
For those of you who are new around here, where you been? We are, of course, the premier place to get your tournament results, hosted by any heroics, the only GBHL team to select their captain based on their ability to get lost in paradise.
Yeah, that's true.
Before we move on to some lovely results, we do, of course, have to let you know that we are affiliated with the wonderful, if my mouse will work, 7th City Collectibles, stockist of your favourite systems, second-hand stuff. You buy your minis, sell yourself for minis. They also do Lorcana, Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Anything you can imagine. They'll either have it or they'll order it in for you. Go check them out in Nottingham. Check out the affiliate link in the description. Always big fans of this lot. They're lovely people and a lovely shop as well. Yeah. Moving on.
Nothing more to add, but we talk about them every week.
We talk about them every week. It's nothing new because they're still fucking fantastic. Moving on to the first event of the weekend, because we're giving up talking about hobby because John isn't here. It was the line of Durin, GBHL 90, organised by Jack Brawley up at Vlad's Emporium in Glasgow. Jack's done quite a few tournaments this year, and I think he did a couple last year as well. 707 points with 4 games. Specified scenarios, this is the prize that holds ground, contest, and destroy supplies. Most 14 was won by Adam Wilkinson. Best painted was Sean Gill. And results were courtesy of the King in the North, Mr. David Reed, as always, our champion north of the wall. There was a special rule in this tournament. Jack always likes to throw an extra bit of spice in when he does them. It's called the Line of Durin because you got to pick Dwarven rings to add to your list. If you were a Green Alliance or Pure, you could pick 2 of the options. Otherwise, you could pick 1. You could only put it on a non-monster, non-hero of legend, non-ring bearer model. For the list of rings on the screen, we have the Ring of Dwalin with a 3-inch banner, Ring of Barin, 12-inch stand first, Ring of Thrar, +1 strength, Ring of Thelor, granting terror, Ring of Durin, 1 priority reroll per game, Ring of Druin, fortify spirit, and Ring of Barwar, 1 fire burst spell per turn. That should be flame burst, but same difference.
Is that a free cast flame burst?
Yes, 1 free 1 dice flame burst a turn. You could add dice to it.
Do you have to roll a 3+, or is it a 5?
3. I think it was on the 3+.
Yeah, that would be rubbish if it's a 5+.
Yeah. So looking at those rings, any thoughts?
Fortify spirit is pretty good.
Most
of those aren't really like none of them are, I would say, essential, especially since you can't put your Fortify spirit on your scariest piece, but you can definitely put on something strong like Fortify spirit Boromir or something would be pretty good.
Yeah.
I guess if you've got like the +1 strength, if you've got someone like Boromir with a lance, something like that, wouldn't hurt. None of them are like game changing, I wouldn't say, but they're still nice to have a little extra boost depending on what your list needs.
I think Flame Burster may be slightly underrated as well because it doesn't seem like a lot, but I think actually just getting it for free every turn is a sort of 1 in 3 chance of removing a D6 model. That's not bad.
Or against something
fantastic.
But
when you compare it to the rest of those, I think it's probably the most interesting after Fortify Spirit and +1 strength.
If you flame burst something like the Emperor, albeit he does tank the hits, you're burning down the Palanquin.
Assuming he doesn't resist it.
Yeah, assuming he doesn't resist it. It's a fair point.
I think it's swingy, but I mean, I think it works pretty well. Could work pretty well on like a Kurdan type model behind the line who's not going to be getting charged too much or charging too much. You can just walk around chucking Firebest. The problem, I guess, is you don't want to put it on a spellcaster because they already want to cast.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like a captain or something behind the lines could use that. Other than that, yeah, +1 strength on a strength 4 model that doesn't have any bonuses to wound immediately makes it quite a lot killier against like dwarves or against like regular D5 models.
Yeah, you could. Ring of Barin isn't worthless because a 12-inch standfast, if you've got a low courage army with a hero that's gonna stick around, that can be useful.
You'd have to bear in mind this doesn't have to be a pure or anything. I think that's too.
Yeah.
I think the 3-inch banner, the 12-inch standfast are kind of, and Terra, generally speaking, are worth taking. Ring of Durin is like, I actually like that effect, but I don't think it's that good. I think the winners here are the strength, fortified spirit, and then flame burst is sort of weird and niche, but it can be threatening because it's free and you'll get it every single turn. And priority reroll is also like solid, but the other three are mid for me.
Yeah. So let's take a guess at what people actually picked. In best painted position, Mr. Sean Gill.
Sean Gill.
With his Dark Denizens Goblin Town Alliance. You can see it's an alternate Spider Queen. Yeah.
Probably you wouldn't take loads of spiders, but I guess maybe he. Yeah, I mean, like Spider Queen is obviously good at those scenarios.
Yeah.
Kind of diluting the numbers on the Goblin Town is a bit of a risky option, but if it's a hobby project, it's a hobby project, you know.
Yeah, I suppose also if we're looking at the scenarios, seize the prize, destroy the supplies, hold ground, kind of benefit moving quickly. I mean, hold ground less, so I suppose.
Yeah, but like the Spider Queen does that by itself. You don't need 6 spiders, or however many that is. Like, but again, it's a hobby project, so whatever. A display board to make a certain John Partridge jealous as well.
Yeah,
worthy of the Potter hammer.
Very nicely done. Some alternate sculpts as well. Moving on to the third place list, name we've heard before a few times, Fraser Gillespie, with a pure Far Harad list. So noteworthy, he had Fortified Spirit on his leader and Flame Burst on his second Mahud King. So he's got a Mahud King with 2 half trolls, 2 Mahud Raiders, 6 Mahud Warriors with Blowpipe, 4 with Blowpipe and Spear, and a Mahud Warrior with Banner, Spear, Blowpipe. A Mahud King with War Camel, Shield, and War Spear with a half troll, 2 Raiders, 6 Blowpipes, and 4 Blowpipes with Spear. And a Tribes Master with Shield with 2 half trolls, 2 Mahud Raiders, and 2 Mahud Warriors with Blowpipes and Spear. It's a lot of blowpipes. Jordan, you're an expert in this field.
I love a blowpipe. The only thing it's got 37 models. I would have probably dropped the shield from the second king and the Tribes Master and taken another Mahud Warrior with Spear and blowpipe.
The other thing is he's got 6 Raiders. Like, they're really expensive for what they give you. Like, I think they're good.
19?
But 6 is crazy.
I guess in a pure list at this kind of points level, I don't, I'm not a big fan of Raiders myself, but I don't mind that for a bit of variation in like the list.
I mean, you were saying about the shields, but the most obvious thing for me was just turn one of them into 2.
Yeah.
You immediately get a break point and an extra blowpipe.
Is that the correct number of half trolls, we reckon? 5.
I don't think you want to overinvest in them unless you're J. Clare, in which case you take nothing. But
yeah,
I think 5 half trolls is pretty hard, pretty tough. Fortified Spirit on the leader kind of makes sense. Flame Burst also kind of makes sense for a similar reason. Just a little bit of extra popping dangerous stuff. I think I'd almost be tempted to run the banner on the other king because you get a little bit more reliability, and then you've got because then you've got your leader king with a banner in his warband, and then you've got the other king who counts as a banner.
They can operate independently. Yeah. I mean, it is the other one he could have gone for is the Strength 6 Mahud King, which would have been interesting. Obviously, the problem with buying a strength upgrade is it's only beneficial 50% of the time.
Unless you play like Iron Hills Dwarves.
Well, Strength 5 is a good point to start because it pushes you up to Strength 6, which means that your 5 to 6 is good. Odd to even is more likely to be good because D6 is so prevalent. So 3 up to 4 would be good. 5 up to 6 would be good. I mean, I don't think the Mahud King actually needs any help killing D6, really, because it's still killing it on 4s. But killing it on 3s is pretty hardcore.
Yeah. I mean, those of you who haven't seen the Mahud King do its thing, yeah, they're pretty scary shit.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
I like this list, to be honest.
I think it's pretty solid. I think there's
pretty cheeky.
An argument to put everyone's favourite marching, striking 6-inch banner boy in, but the list doesn't need it. It would just make the list slightly better, but the list is doing what
it doesn't need it. I think if you wanted to be like a real sort of, if you weren't in the mood to run 8-man camel models, you'd be like, well, okay, I'll drop some of them, make that Tribes Master into Sylvain, and then throw in some like 7 riders. But that's just splitting hairs. If you want to go kill the herd, which clearly they did, this is decent.
Yeah. Moving on to the second place list, it's Alfredo Yorca Molina. Apologies if I've butchered your name. I've assumed you are Spanish. He is running Riders of Theoden with the Fortified Spirits ring on Gamlin, which I think is probably a good choice. He's got Theoden with 2 Royal Guard with throwing spears and 2 plain Royal Guard. Aemir with a Royal Guard and 2 riders. Gamling with the standard, a Royal Guard with throwing spears, another Royal Guard and a Rider of Rohan. Durnhelm with 2 Riders of Rohan. And Daelwine with a Royal Guard and a Rider of Rohan.
Yeah, solid. He's kind of split the cheeks a bit on this and gone for the. He's got the skirmishy set up without too many heroes, but also hasn't gone heavy bow spam. 8 bows, I think that is.
6 bows.
6 bows. 6 bows. I think 6 bows aren't really going to do anything personally, but it also may be a limitation on the models. Royal Guard are excellent.
I think if I had to change one thing about this list, beyond the inclusion of Aemir, where I think 700 points is an acceptable point to put him in, is get those throwing spears on Durnhelm. The recycling might point opportunities you get with that are pretty damn good.
Well, I would say that if he had throwing spears on like Aemir, but he doesn't really have an easy way to get 5 points, so I wouldn't say it was a missing link or anything like that.
Drop a Royal Guard to a rider and drop throwing spears from 1 Royal Guard.
2 Royal Guards.
Drop a Royal Guard with throwing spears to a rider, 3 points, and drop throwing spears off 1 Royal Guard. Yeah. I think it's very. We're seeing a lot of riders of Theoden at the moment in the meta. Hipsters like myself and Elliot and other pre-Rohan players will claim that they were doing it before it was cool. But it was always cool, let's be honest. It's Riders of Theoden.
I think it was pretty annoying before they nerfed Gamling's banner. I didn't think it was super cool by then. That was fucking horrible at times.
Yeah, there's always been problems with Gamling's banner.
Well, if you didn't win 2 roll-offs in a row against that list, you just got run over. Yeah. Especially the hero heavy version.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But moving on to the first place list, Mr. Douglas Moore, with a lot of goblins and a Spider Queen, with a combo that I know will make Dave quite happy. He had the Spider Queen, Durbers with a Goblin Warrior with weapon swap. Didn't say which weapon swap it was. I would assume flail or axe. 5 Goblin Warriors with shield, 7 with spear, 1 black shield, and 1 black shield, which didn't say the war gear, so I think it was a spear. Groblog with 5 goblins with shield, 5 with spear, and Ashrak with 5 with shield, 5 with spear, and Druzag with the source, the 5 wild wargs, 2 bat swarms, and 2 giant spiders.
It's kind of a meme list, this, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
I didn't really get the black shield, the 2 black shields in there, but
yeah, Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I personally don't think Ashrak is adding a whole lot to this, to be honest. I understand why he's there, but like, yeah, I don't know.
You get the theory, but
yeah, but I mean, the Spider Queen can sort of do that anyway. Although I will give you that it is pretty nasty to have that permanent threat of like, ooh, what am I gonna do? With the Mingus Spider Queen, but also like, I mean, this is kind of like own brand Assault and Loth, isn't it?
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's because Contest of Champions is coming out, so you take the Spider Queen and you take the Shamans to basically go Giga Spider Queen.
The Spider Queen is leader then.
I'm not 100% sure.
She's top of the list, so potentially just be. I'd always put mine first.
Yeah,
but
I mean, Denby made this though.
I think potentially. I mean, this is how the list was presented to me.
The Spider Queen as leader is a little bit insane. And if you were going to make her your leader, you'd be absolutely insane not to give her Fortified Spirit.
You can't choose a monster.
Because, right, of course, yeah.
I had the same thought earlier.
Okay.
There is the potential to say, okay, well, Durbas will be my leader, and then Spider Queen with Ashrak and Druzag support will just kill the enemy leader or try to kill the enemy leader. However, I agree. You are a default no fate leader if you do.
And also, like, if you choose your leader, then you're going to potentially take a wound every single time that you use Enrage.
Yeah.
I have this feeling that, like, while it is cool and funky, you don't actually need to Enrage the Spider Queen. Like, she doesn't struggle to kill things.
She might struggle to win a fight, which is, I think, where the real benefit comes from.
Yeah, it is nice for that. But like if you get your Spider Queen off, you've like pinned someone in place, you've trapped them, and then you hit the Bat Swarm in the Spider Queen, and then she just goes off like a bomb. Like, she doesn't always one-shot stuff D7 and higher, but if you have like another guy and a spear in there, you suddenly have like 8 D3 strength 3 dice and then 6 re-rolling strength 6. It's like re-rolling strength 8. I guess the main thing is the +2 attacks.
Yeah.
She doesn't go off like Shelob does with it, for example, but I do like it. I like it as an idea, and it's like it's a meme list more than it's a good list. Also, I would say another thing as well is an underrated aspect of the Flame Burst, which, I mean, I'm kind of surprised it's been popular like this, but it does allow you to pick off like things that tag your important stuff. Like, if people tag your Spider Queen with a model and they only get one in or something, you can be like, right, Flame Burst gives you an opportunity to free up the model.
It's a mini black dart.
Yeah, I mean, Flame Burst is always like that, but the Groblog is a nice choice because he's got might and he doesn't really have to do anything in combat.
Yeah.
So like, you can make it happen a bit better. If you need to kill, like, that one guy that charged my Spider Queen, one Black Ninja or something, like, cool. Might that 3 up to a 4 to kill him, and then your Spider Queen goes off.
I have to say, I do hope Douglas never had the moment where you double channel with your casters. You cast Enraged Spider and you also cast Shroud of Shadows, and then the Spider Queen goes in and she like just completely flubs it, rolls a 4 high, and then gets surrounded and dies.
Yeah, I mean,
you're putting a lot of eggs into the Spider Queen basket here.
Shroud of Shadows, you also remember you need to test the charger twice, which can be hard. But honestly, like, the big base can make it kind of hard to kill certain heroes. But also, that's not the only thing. You can do like weird stuff, like you can Shroud of Shadows the Broodlings and things. And the Fury means that your Spider Queen isn't going to piss off at the end of the game, which is nice. What I would say is not having rerolls on Druzag and Ashrak actually makes them. You basically only have like 1 or 2, if you're lucky, shots at the good stuff every game.
Yeah.
I mean, with Ashrak, if you're going for that channeled Shroud, you might even just throw
you have
4 will it.
Yeah, without the reroll, I think I'd consider that as well. You don't have the might either once you've channeled.
Yeah. So you're just going 4 dice. Hopefully, I roll a 4 on 4 dice.
And then he just wanders into combat hoping to get killed.
Yeah. One thing Ashrak does in this list actually is he allows you to play the Spider Queen without like protection of like heavy shooting, because you can be like, right, just make her invisible. Can't shoot her if she's invisible. Means you can position her really aggressively, but somewhere where realistically no one can tag her. Because it's like you can be within cav charge range, but it's like, oh, cool, they've got, which means you're in range of a heroic move off next turn, but they can't charge you. So even if you have priority, you can be like, right, invisible Spider Queen is now like 8 inches away from your cavalry, but they will have to test at -8 to charge, and it's like it's not happening.
Would you not, in the event of a move off though, wouldn't you be able to charge before the Shroud of Shadows was up?
Yeah, but my point is, Spider Queen getting charged, if they go first with their like dangerous cavalry, it's not like she's out on her own. You have support.
Right, yeah.
What I'm saying is you can position her aggressively and then be like, you now have to react to what I've just done, because you want to try and, you know, you're not like, you'll always have, if they go first, then on the move off, you will have an opportunity to react to what they do and peel off stuff with your bats and your wargs and stuff. Anyway, it's a decent list, clearly, because he won the tournament with it.
Yeah, I think it's
I
pretty
like
good.
it.
I
like it because it's wacky, not because I think it's really good or anything.
Like I always say, the Scottish, Northern Irish, and Irish meta make me very happy, just because I see lists like this doing well instead of the same old lists.
Isn't it?
Again, the only thing I think I'd really change is I'd drop the 2 black shields for 2 normal goblins and take an extra wild warg and get my numbers up to 50 round.
Yeah, I mean, you could also, I might put something in the Spider Queen's warband, just as like a
marching as well. I think I'd have some, maybe a fell wargs or one of the black swarms with it. Yeah,
just so if in Maelstrom she gets really screwed by deployment, you have something to kind of screen her off a little bit.
Yeah, personally, I would have a captain over a Groblog.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Groblog's fine.
Moving on to more boring common metas. We have Last Stand of the Ents, which was a 650 good versus evil, so double list GBHL 90 event held in Norwich.
I like Bussy Scout Center.
Yeah, I know. Check out that Bussy.
Whoa.
That's probably quite offensive because it's probably named after someone who like did some incredible charity act or something. But
yeah, maybe.
You know, that's what we're like on this podcast.
In Bristol, we name things after anything, including slave for people.
Good old Edward Colston, or whatever his name was. The tournament organizer for this tournament was Rhys Lewis. Obviously, it was up in Norwich, held by Norwich Last Stand, whose logos you can just about see on the screen. Apologies for butchering your lovely graphic, but I had to get words on the screen at some point. It was a 4-game event. Most sporting was won by Ben Warner, and best painted was won by our very own John Partridge, of course, the hobbyist, with 2 armies that have previously won best painted before, funnily enough. So first of all, he had his vanquishers. Ignore Radagast because it was a 650 tournament. This is John is. I'm not going to use the word infamous, but John likes using vanquishers, and also his opponents sometimes enjoy their games. He's won most sporting with it, if for those of you unaware. So that's quite a feat. Not to stroke his ego too much, but he's also an exceptional painter, hence the best painted award. In fact, there we go. On Elrond's cloak, this is something he's previously shared with us. He has a free-handed Rivendell, which that is pretty tasty.
Yeah, it's a vibe.
Yeah. If you ever get a chance to check out John's models in person, please do. And also, he won with his Goblin Town as well. Oh, sorry, my Goblin Town, because, you know.
That's not an up-to-date photograph.
It's not. You can tell.
In fact, that was actually a year ago today.
Yeah, it was Into the Wilderlands. Shout out Mark Kempster. Yeah. Great tournament. He didn't have any up-to-date photos, and he was actually out at work, so this is what I have. He's got some lovely resin effects. He's got a poop bucket. He's got Gollum lurking underneath on a rock, eating a fish, as he should be. So yeah.
The poop bucket comes in the set.
Yeah, the poop bucket comes in the set.
It's not a John original.
It's not a John original. But moving on to the lovely, interesting English meta, we have the lovely, interesting Adam Searens with his 2 lists. So firstly, we'll go through his Armored Thrall, which funnily enough had Thrall, 18 Guardians of the King, which are the upgraded Grim Hammers, strength 4, Young Dwalin the Dwarf with 4 Warriors of Erebor with Shield and Spear and 1 with Spear, and a Captain of Erebor with 12 Warriors of Erebor with Shield and Spear. It's just a lot of lads, isn't it?
A lot of dwarves, yeah, high defense.
38 is quite a lot. I don't really like Young Dwalin, but the problem with this list is there isn't really another model that you can use in that position. Like,
yeah,
the only other comparable model is Thrall, and he's like 35 more points, which is a lot. It cuts your models down a lot.
You could go for Young Thorin, who's 100.
He's
I
also
think
a bit more, yeah, because you want to have the Oaken Shield on him.
Yeah, true. I agree with the Young Dwalin though. His special rule is very situational.
It's like my problem is he only has 2 might. Like, I'd almost rather have a captain and 2 more guys. I think that might be harder to deal with. But I mean, he's strength 5 and he has a strike, so that's nice. I want to say fight 5.
I think he is fight 5, the young version. Yeah.
Yeah, and also he loses you can choose to lose D through fight value to reroll to wound, which is a slightly strange rule. Also, he doesn't have +1, which is like the only version of Dwalin that doesn't have +1. So yeah, I mean, he's a necessary piece in a list that kind of doesn't have another model in that area. Like he's like, basically, if you look at him compared to like Gloin, Champion of Erebor, it's like, wow, this sucks. But also, like, you don't have a better option in the list, so whatever. And like, he's built his warbands the way I approve of, which I like. So yeah, it's a fine list, and I see his evil list is a little bit familiar to me as well.
Yeah, his evil list is the ever famous Mordor Serpenthold combo. Witch King with Crown, Horse, 3 Might, 4 Will, 3 Fate, 6 Black Nuns, 6 Morannons with Shield, Spear, 5 Orc Trackers, Mouth of Sauron with Horse, or Armored Horse, sorry, 6 Black Nummies, 6 Morannons, and 3 Orc Trackers. And then everyone's favourite, striking 6-inch banner, Suladon Serpent on Armored Horse, with 3 Serpent Riders.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this, trying to think about so he's got a different version of this to
Ash.
Well, Ash at 650, his first tournament win, he played this list at 650, had 39 models, if I remember correctly. And he had a smaller Witch King, and he had, I think, a couple more Black Nuns, or I'm not sure exactly how he did it. He might have only had 2 Serpent Riders. Either way, he had, I think, actually the version of the list that had, this is a fine compromise. But I mean, I don't think you get loads of value out of having a really big Witch King. Like 14 Will and 3 Fate is quite a lot.
Yeah, you can easily shave off 10 points with 1 Will and 1 Fate dropped.
Yeah, I mean, especially at 650, like the Witch King functions extremely well with that setup, and but I mean, like, this is a pretty balanced version of the list. He's got a 12 wide line. He's got 3 solid combat heroes. His Witch King is just that a little bit more grounded, and you're only really gaining 1 or 2 models that way anyway. So it's a compromise. It's a good list. We know it's a good list.
We know it's a good list. We've seen enough of Mordor Serpenthold to know that it's good. Adam is one of the people who's actually been playing it for a while. He hops between quite a few different lists, but he is at least not a meta chaser, unlike myself or John Partridge, relatively speaking.
I mean, he's been playing it for a while, but I mean, so have a lot of people. It's just become talked about more, because it's an obvious combo, and I'm kind of surprised it hasn't been more popular for longer, to be honest. Yeah.
There's not a hell of a lot to say. We see the list basically.
It's just a really reliable list.
Yeah.
It's about as reliable as you can get an evil without going for a Dragon Emperor.
Yeah. A solid line, big banner, a little bit of shooting, a little bit of cav, very reliable casting, and Slodan and the Witch King are just so efficient. Yeah. Moving on to second place, Mr. Matthew Haslam. Now, I think this is Matthew Haslam. His Longshank's name was quite different, but it had Haslam in it, and this was the closest name I could find on Facebook. So he's got 2 lists. obviously, 2 list tournaments. Minister.
What?
with Boromir, Captain of the White Tower, with Horse Shield and Banner, the very standard setup. 5 Knights of Minas Tirith with Shield. 5 Guard of the Fountain Court with Shield. Madriel with 10 Rangers with Spear, and Tyrion with 10 Guard of the Fountain Court with Shield. I think this is too many Knights.
I agree, but I think you're saying Tyrion. Like, I think at 650, Boromir, Banner, those are the 3 heroes you should take.
Yeah, no. So my reason for I've seen Tyrion a couple of times, and I think he is actually quite good. It's just
I don't like his warband distribution either. To be fair,
yeah, I think each warband should be able to function and fight independently.
Yeah, 5 Knights is a little bit mental. I think I'd go for like 2 at most.
Yeah, drop 3 Knights, which saves you
just 1. I think I like I don't like the all Rangers in 1 warband thing. Although at least with Madriel you can have a bit of help with that. But you don't want Madriel to come on second. You want Madriel to come on first. So you don't want to have because then all the Rangers will have to be in front. And anyway, it's just a weird way of doing it. I wouldn't do it that way. But again, you might not play Maelstrom with it, so who cares? And that's basically the only time it matters. Yeah, I mean, the warband distribution is a bit weird. And yeah, I'd swap 5 Knights for literally 1 Knight and then have like 6 Fountain Court or something, whatever you can fit.
So it's 56 points would be 5 additional Fountain Court with a point spare to chuck somewhere. Yeah,
I mean, like, heavy Fountain Court investment is aggressive, but it really works. Like, they're really good. And you could probably have another, you could have another Archer.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid list.
I mean, he went 4-0, but I would say I agree. The warband distribution is quite alarming on any scenario where you get split up. John, what scenarios were there played at this event?
That's a good question. It was veto by pool. Okay. So I think we played pool 3, pool 1, pool 2, and we did play Maelstrom, and one of the other ones.
Yeah, I assume you did play one of the other ones.
Yeah, maybe 4. I think it's 5 and 2 we didn't play. No, 5 and I don't know.
Yeah, you were. To be fair, you weren't really on form of that tournament, so
no, I didn't really engage.
No. Yeah, I think the best thing to take away from this list is while he did go 4-0, so congrats, Matthew, well done. Having each warband with the ability to fight and move around independently is really important. Because if you catch that Madriel warband on its own, if it had 5 Fountain Court Guards, 5 Rangers, then you've got a D7 front line. As it is, it's a bunch of squishy D4 models, which are just going to get munched. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair to say. Similarly, in something like Divide and Conquer, where you want to put Madriel with Boromir, so you can get Boromir to the center very quickly, you would be better off having Madriel's warband with Morgul the Fountain Court. But, it's just a little, it's still a very solid list. Just a few little tweaks to make. Now, the Isengard list, we've got some notes on. So we'll go through this one. It's a 41 model, 14 bow list. We've got Lurtz with shield, 3 Uruk Berserkers, 1 Uruk Scout with shield and banner, 4 Uruk Warriors with pike and crossbow, 4 Uruk Warriors with pike, 2 Warg Riders with shield and throwing spear, and then he's got Thorolf with 4 Orcs with 2-handed weapon, 8 Uruks with pike, and Ugluk with 2 Uruk Scouts with bow, 3 Uruk Warriors with crossbow pike, and 3 Uruk Warriors with shields, and then 4 Uruk High Warriors with crossbow. What's standing out to you immediately with this list, Jordan?
The pike and crossbows together.
Yeah. So for those of you unaware, if you take a crossbow or a pike and is it any other piece of war gear or is it shields and crossbows?
It is any other. Well, it only really talks about bows and crossbows, and it talks about shields.
So you get -1 to your dual rolls. Which hopefully Matthew was aware of. It's a rule which can easily catch people out. But it really limits your fighting force where you've got I mean, albeit only 7 models with the -1, that's still a significant amount of -1 on the dual roll. You're essentially giving a mini shade to your own army. And what we normally see with Isengard armies quite frequently is the crossbows are the front line with the pikes behind. That's currently the kind of meta that's definitely being used a lot by people like Jay Acharya and Jake Rolson.
It's pretty efficient usage of your points.
Yeah.
D5 is like a good amount, and you're not wasting points on Wargear. You're not wasting. Basically, you want to have a lot more. A solid like 1.5 times as many pikes as you want frontliners. Yeah. I mean, crossbow pike used to be the obvious meta back in the day before in the old edition, because there was no rule about crossbow and pikes giving you -1, so it was just efficient. And you could have a front line in front of your pikes. But now, back then, also Berserker spam was meta anyway, so you didn't want many pikes anyway.
D6 Berserkers.
But now, it might have been deliberate because he's got quite a lot. He's got 12 regular pikes as well. It's not like all of his crossbows are -1. Like, this could be a thing where it's like, these are the models I have, and I know it's not cool, but I'm just using it. Because, like, with that setup, that definitely isn't an impossible way to play it, because he only has 7. I mean, 7 of them is still quite a few, but he has 12 regular pikes. That's a lot. To the point where actually he sort of doesn't have as much front line as you'd think he would. Like, he's got his heroes, which do work, and he's got orcs with 2-handed weapons, which is definitely a rogue choice. But yeah, like, you could make that work. You put like a pike with a crossbow behind a crossbow, and then you have a regular pike on the back. You've got still 2 out of 3 dice don't have -1. It's not offensive. It's just a bit of an odd choice. Also, he's got. Oh no, sorry, that's a scout. Sorry, ignore that. I was about to say shield and banner, but I mean, normally I'd run a pike with my banner because
you're at -1 anyway.
You want to have them nestled in the pike block.
Yeah. You're there to commit a strike to the fight, not to win the fight.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's got enough pikes so that he can win the fight, so the strength 4 strikes can still come into it. I'd still argue it's more efficient the other way, but then again, the way this list is written kind of looks like this is the models I've got available setup.
Yes,
If that's the case, fair play for going 4-0, because Isengard is just solid. He's got the right heroes in there, although arguably Vrasku is a better choice than Ugluk. I like the triple striker setup.
Yeah. I think Ugluk is definitely good. Vrasku is also very good for a different reason. But
Ivan Sheehan, he'll tell you Ugluk is not good categorically and can get in the bin.
Yeah, well,
Ivan hates Ugluk, despite being an avid Ugluk Scouts enjoyer for a long time.
Wow, that's interesting.
He hates Ugluk. Well, he hates Ugluk because Ugluk lets him down, I think is the point.
Well, the problem there is
the way
someone
who's played a lot of Theoden-based legions can understand the letdown of the main man, Yeah.
Talking of Theoden-based legions, first place, Mr. Jordan O'Brien.
Who the hell is that?
Doing what Bert Leach cannot and winning with Defenders of Helm's Deep. Sorry, shout out Bert. On an entire segue, there was also a third tournament this weekend, on up in Birmingham, Borden Brun, hosted by Dale. Bert did actually come second to that event, so I'm sorry for the needless flame. Also, big shout out to Jack Darlington from the Melton Wargaming community.
Do you want to finish talking about Jordan's list before you start shouting?
I will. I'm just getting this out of the way. Shout out Jack to the Melton Middle Earth community, because he had some beautiful ravens that were really nice. Jordan, it's your moment in the spotlight.
Yeah,
I heard you like throwing weapons and blowpipes, my friend.
There's definitely a theme to. There's like because really the Serpent Horde of Farhad are what I'm currently playing, and then I was like, what's the kind of good version of that list that just gets a lot of shots?
And you already had them, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Played Defenders a while ago. Didn't really love them, but they fit with the kind of just basically just went incredibly shooting heavily with both lists, and it worked.
Yeah. So talk us through your Defenders of Helm's Deep Legendary Legion list.
So Theoden, you have to take with the shield, 3 warriors of Rohan with throwing spears and shield, 1 warrior with just throwing spears, and then a warrior of Rohan with a banner, throwing spears and shield, 7 Royal Guard with throwing spears, and then 6 Galafrin warriors with spear and bows. Then Legolas, 3 warriors of Rohan with throwing spears and shield, 1 warrior with throwing spears, 5 Royal Guard with throwing spears, 6 Galafrin warriors with bow and spear, and then Gamling with 2 warriors of Rohan with throwing spears and shield.
It's a lot of bloody throwing spears.
That has a few more Royal Guard, isn't it?
Pardon?
Because when we talked about this before the tournament, and
this was
after you increased the Royal Guard numbers, right?
Yeah, this has 12. 12 Royal Guard. I only actually played with this list once out of the 4 games. But the shooting did do horrible things to an Angmar army, so
it's a good matchup.
Yeah, it worked quite well.
I think having the frontline D6 is important for this list. It makes it grind a bit better. You can get very hoardy if you go pure warriors. If you want with this list, which is pretty scary, but I still think if you want a well-rounded army list, this is actually quite good. And the way you've built it, I think, is sensible. Like, you've got the banner that isn't on Gamling, because Gamling's banner in this Legion actually doesn't offer you a whole lot. Like, it gives you infinite heroic moves into the late game, but
who cares?
You don't really need to do infinite heroic moves with this list. You shoot them a lot, and then when you get close, you've got 9 might. You've still got 9. A lot.
It's probably going to be Legolas that'll be burning through might before it gets there. He can't benefit from the banner anyway. Like, it's Legolas. They're going to be throwing might to get that kill or the key wounds on horses and stuff.
In luxury, you don't really need. If you bump up to 800, you can justify spending 25 points for the possibility that you might be able to use that. But
I think it's something I said to you before the weekend. Was I said the banner's a trap at this points level, because of exactly that reason. Are you going to get 25 points worth of value from it? Realistically, no. You're Theoden and Gamling and any other hero that you do have that can get might back. Are they going to run out realistically? Yes. Are they going to run out 5 times? Probably not.
Yeah. No, I mean, to be honest, I only played the one game. I think Gamling, Theoden called a combat once, and then Gamling did run out of might, but it wasn't. I wasn't at that point. Kind of the game was already over.
Unlike most of the Rohan legions, this one is not very much about the heroes, especially not the Rohan heroes. So it's significantly less good value, I would say.
Yeah. This list playing into Angmar will just have a nice time, because you've got 12 Royal Guard, you've got Legolas to snipe stuff, you've got all the throwing spears in the world, you've got good numbers, you've got bodyguard. Yeah,
it was a nice list to play with. It definitely did what it was meant to do. And even just dictating with obviously the elf bows and the 30-inch range, if I haven't moved, I really do dictate the pace of the game as well, because it's kind of like you do. Well, with Angmar, you'd have to come to me, and then I can kind of choose when to move forward to start throwing spears, and then when to move backwards again.
30-inch threat on Legolas as well. The extra 6 inches makes a hell of a lot of difference.
But even the Warriors and Royal Guard, they've got a 14-inch threat range without marching.
Yeah,
it's still that the reach is still quite big.
It's quite hard to get into a position where you can basically. There's not very many ways to hurt this list where it can't hurt you back.
Yeah, and I can against most foot lists
arrange it.
Yeah, and against most foot lists, I can sit 7-8 inches back, and you're not charging me. Whether I lose priority or gain priority, it doesn't really matter, because I'm still at least getting one more turn of shooting.
If you want to actually skirmish properly with this list, it is very nasty. You can be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And it's not too bad in a fight either. All your warriors are Rohan and half axes, so you get a bit of strength 4 in there if you need it. You got 5/5 from the spears.
Yep.
And you've got D6 to put in front of anything strength 3. It's
pretty efficient. Yeah.
Very much so. The main thing is lacking is a hero on a horse. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have any hero that's going to reliably kill stuff.
No, the heroes don't do the chopping.
Yeah, the only option you have for that, Aragorn is not an option because he's too expensive. Is Gimli, and
Gimli's too expensive too, really.
Exactly. If Gimli were 20 points cheaper, then maybe. But
I think if you're trying to take a combat hero in this list, you've got the wrong idea of what the list is good at.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Basically.
It's an anti-control list, is what it's good at.
Yeah.
It's good into terror and it's good into magic because what are you magicking? Like, who cares?
Well, I was on that point. He did cast a black dart 3 times on Theoden, and he did cast it every time on a 6, and I did resist it every single time. So that was quite fun for Theoden, just going, not today, Witch King.
Big on thought.
Yeah.
So Bethesda did come through, to be fair to him.
Theoden actually resisting something for once. That's impressive. Yeah. Moving on to your evil list. Do you want to run us through this one?
Yes, it's very similar to the one you would have shown a week or so ago. It's the Betrayer with horse, 4 Harad warriors with bows, 4 with spear and bow, 5 Serpent Guard, 2 Serpent Rider, Mahud King with camel blowpipe, war spear, then 1 warrior with banner, poison darts, and spear, and then 6 Mahud with blowpipe, 5 with blowpipe and spear. There's a tribes master with camel, blowpipe, and war spear, 5 Mahud warriors with blowpipes, and then 5 with blowpipe and spear.
Again, it's a lot of short ranged threat in this list, isn't there?
Yes, it's 8 bows and 24 blowpipes.
Yeah, it's not
nasty with the Betrayer up.
Yeah, the range threat at 24 to 12 isn't, it's not too scary, but as soon as you get in that 12-inch threat range.
Yeah, I mean, I played this 3 of the 4 games. In game 3, I played Iron Hills dwarves with like Thorin, Dwalin, and Gloin, and even with the 6x5s, it was just ripping through them with the rerolls.
Yeah,
rerolls is good.
I was killing like three dwarves a turn. I killed Thorin before he could even spend a point of might. Like, it just, yeah.
I feel sorry for that dwarf player.
Combat is good as well because it makes it hard to get going with your big heroes.
What was that, Dave? Sorry?
I said if you can shoot the combat and you hit with plus, which is really rare to be able to do that.
That's how I killed. I got Thorin down to 1 wound. Then when he charged in, I just shot into that combat and just killed him. Like, I was happy for me to die and no heroic combat, but they all landed on Thorin and got the last wound. So it's like, see ya.
It's cruel, but also it's a good way to deal with a big hero.
Yeah, and I got lucky as well in 1 turn with the I did the dwarves were like, against dwarves it's particularly good because they've only got 5-inch movement. I did a move march. I won the roll off and just dropped back 4.5 inches, so you got another full turn of shooting, like just before the lines clashed.
Yeah,
6 might be a bit low, I would say.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I would say against this. It's not like low, but like there's no room for accidentally wasting might in a stupid way, I would say.
Well, I found, to be honest, playing with this list with such low might, that actually I think my resource management has got a lot better. Generally, other than that, maybe move march, which you might try and pull off like late game just to get that 1 extra turn. Generally, I don't really call many things, to be honest. I tend to, like, if I have Bootle's priority or you want to call a move, I tend to let you have it, and I can react around that. I don't think I spent all my might in many games. Like, might wasn't too big of a concern.
Yeah, makes sense.
No raiders.
No raiders, no. If I'm going to have Cav, I'd rather have a Serpent Rider and have...
6 points.
Raiders are cool, but they don't... Fight 3 is just not good enough. I mean, strength 4 is good. Fight 3.
Yeah, the amount of time you charge in, lose the fight, and then die because they're only D5, you're like, well, that's 19 points.
Yeah, they're a lot of points, and they don't actually, like... Goat Riders, the difference with Fight 4 and the Goat is just... I mean, they're only 1 point more, The Impaler is cool, but it just isn't cool. It's not good enough, like strong enough to justify using them, really. Like, it'll pop off very occasionally against like low defense models, but they're not really the thing you need to worry about anyway with a list like this because you're going to shoot them to pieces anyway.
Yeah.
Anything your Impaler is an actual threat to, i.e. D4 and lower, your blowpipes will absolutely ruin. So it's like, who cares?
Yeah. No, I think if you're looking for Cav in this list, you go Serpent Rider, or I've taken Raiders before as a bit of a more versatile kind of shoot and charge unit, but I think there's not much difference. I'd take Raiders as my line, because with the Betray you can get about 15 comfortably, 2 deep, getting the full poison bubble, maybe 16 at a push. So if I'm going past that, then I look for Raiders because they can sit behind and I get extra shots so then the poison bubble. But if not, I'll go Serpent Riders if I don't need the extra shots behind.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Moving on to everybody's favourite section. Well, nice. Oliver H1804 said, "Great vid, love the pod. I was wondering, what are some good counters to Halls of Thranduil?" Good question, Oliver. Good question.
Magic. Because Thranduil typically gets deployed on foot because he is a nice buff bubble and you can slot him into your lines and he does well on foot. He's pretty killy, which does mean that if you pull him out and hit him with a cavalry hero, once you've compelled him out, it's like, oh, strike, and you run him down, continue D6. Because Thranduil himself is kind of the linchpin of the list. If it's playing pure Halls of Thranduil, it won't have many models. Like you can't really get more than about 32 at 700 points. If you run Legless Thranduil and a captain, if you don't run a captain, it's Hordia that has a serious mobility issue. Yeah, it is a limited list. I would say. I mean, if you just want a suggestion of a counter, Assault on Lothlorien.
Yeah.
Just kind of bodies it.
You outnumber it. Your shooting is really efficient because every time you kill a model, it's an elf. So it's valuable. It won't
outshoot. Also did onto Thranduil.
Yeah, you outnumber it significantly, so you get your outnumbering bonus. It's
also he doesn't really gain any benefit from +1 to wound because it's like you're killing goblins.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, let us know how you get on with trying to kill the Halls of Thranduil, Oliver. Mark O'Brien at 2481, who I believe I'm going on a road trip this weekend with, says, "Big thanks to Michael for hosting Near Near and a pleasure to go there. Would thoroughly recommend it to people next year, and also the Steins, definitely worth going for those."
Yeah.
He also said that he's banning Vanquishers and Black Riders next year, which is good news. As I said, makes me far more likely to go, just from an enjoyment perspective.
I mean, like, I don't really favour that kind of thing, but I guess 2 Vanquishers podiums in a row. Maybe he thought something about it brings out the Vanquishers in people. I mean, whatever, right?
He's got to vanquish those negative play experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I hate having to plan around the Vanquishers because they're just such a stinky army to play against, and so many of the things I like to play get like bent over by them. And it's like, if you know someone's going to take them, or you strongly suspect someone you might have to beat to do well is going to be bringing them, it's like, do I just roll the dice and get in a good scenario, or do I just ignore them, or do I take one of the few lists I have that reliably beats them? And even then, they don't always reliably beat them if you get the wrong scenario. So it's like, I just hate that. That's the problem with going to tournaments with the hope of doing well as well, is because you have to factor in these kinds of things.
Yeah, you just play Lords of Battle against Vanquishers or Black Riders, and you're like, cool, I've lost this one. At best, I can go 5-1, which won't win the event. Obviously, some events you can win with 5-1, but yeah.
That is the problem, basically. But I mean, you can't expect to win every event, and that's one of the things that makes you have a less of a good time. So
yeah,
I'd suggest against that, even though it's not advice I'm very good at following myself. Anyway,
I guess the other option is just everyone takes Black Riders.
Yeah, everyone takes Black Riders as their evil, and Vanquishers as their good list, and then we all have
just dice off.
Yeah, whoever gets to go first. Free run DJ S Dirk says, "The event in Belfast was an absolute blast. Had a bunch of fun. The Duck will definitely be back next year." Glad to hear it, Dirk, because we couldn't go for various reasons, and I am looking forward to hopefully going next year. In fact, I promised Michael, so if I don't go, he will be very upset with me.
You won't remember next year.
Yeah, he will. Mr. Beaver 20, speaking of Michael, says, "Free run DJ Ace. This is the best news. You're always incredibly welcome. My pleasure to host you."
Oh,
I wonder who that is. What a lovely fella. Ads157 says, "Hi again, love the pod. What's a good solid list for Last Alliance? I am looking at getting them as I want to start them as my next army." Good solid start is always choose whether you want to go for the Elendil kind of fun build or the Isildur slightly better build. Isildur is very efficient. If you go Isildur, Rivendell Captain and Círdan, for example, or Aristor and Círdan, you get a lot of value.
I would say you want Isildur, you want Glorfindel, you want Aristor, you want Círdan, you want a captain of both kinds, and you want maybe Elendil. Those are like the heroes you're going to build 99% of your lists out of.
Yeah.
Maybe a mounted Numenor captain and a mounted Rivendell captain as well, just to keep things flavorful. Generally speaking, the list is best when you run elves with shield as the front, and you could get Gil-galad if you want to be a big boy as well, and spearmen, Numenor spearmen behind, because Numenor don't have the heavy armor, so they're a bit squishier, but they've got the strength 4, so that way also you benefit from the Elven Blade roll-offs against other 5/5 models. Friend of the pod, Jakob, at 800 runs Isildur, Glorfindel, Círdan, and a Numenor captain, and that's a pretty good four hero setup. You end up with 36 models, which is pretty low, but those heroes give you all the tools you need, because Glorfindel is a really reliable hero leader who can wade in without taking too much personal risk. Isildur is then freed up to be using the ring to get stuck in and half fight values and such, and he's a bit of a beta, strength 5, fight 6, and they're both resistant to magic, importantly. And then you've got Círdan, who gives you all the buffs, and you've got a captain for March. It works well. And then the back line is Numenor, frontline elves with sword and shield. Max out those, and you're cooking, I would say.
You get a reasonable shooting threat under blinding light. It's pretty solid.
You'll outshoot most things under blinding light.
Yeah.
Unless they also have blinding light and a better shooting army, but.
Moving on to Mr. Beaver 20, who says, "Do check out my custom scenario. Shoot the messenger in the description. I'd love to see it adopted by the community. Any questions, just shout. Many thanks to the wonderful lads at Heroics for hosting me and for giving me the events in Ireland and Northern Ireland some love." I don't know who this could be. Of course, we love all events in Ireland and Northern Ireland. In fact, we love all events equally. Just some events more so than others. Free run DJS again. These guys, we're just looking at these guys' DMs at this point. It says, "There's a lovely scenario. What scenario do you think it might replace in the standard pool system?" Oh, that's a bit of a touchy question, Mr. Bradford. Mr. Beaver 20 says, "I'm not a fan of the pool system. I would suggest, though, that it be part of a new cohort of scenarios to mix in and dilute the stagnation of the current 18. Of the current 18, there are already a decent handful that need tweaking or an overhaul, in my opinion." Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that agree with that kind of general statement of some things like contest is a bit stinky, Seize the Prize can be a bit stinky depending on matchup. Heirlooms, you can just get a stinky 6, things like that.
I'd like Maelstrom changed to alternating as well. That'd be my hot take on.
Yeah. Baby Gravy 2 says, "So, if any heroics were TOs of a tournament, what faction, legendary legion, or model would you guys ban and why?" Now, this is an interesting question, Mr. Davy Gravy, because we did actually consider running one. We were talking about it last September or last October, potentially, about running one. We did actually come up with a vague rules pack. And funnily enough, we said we would ban Black Riders, Vanquishers. I think we said AOL at the time as well.
I think personally, if it's my own tournament, I don't think I'd ban anything. I'd just do it at points level that would discourage some of those things from being taken, is the way to do it.
Yeah, or guaranteed
Goldberry or 0 Point Golem.
Yes, those should be banned. Is 0 Point Golem still a thing?
No, it's not. That's just a classic. Back in the day, people would ban those 3 models because they were kind of problematic.
I agree with you don't limit the faction by banning it. You either make it so that scenarios which it sucks at are guaranteed, or you make the points level something which it would struggle at.
My feeling is if I'm not playing my own tournament, I don't really get what people use.
Yeah, exactly.
I ban things I don't want to. Like, if I'm not playing the tournament, you please, by all means, ban horrible.
I'll tell you what I would ban. I would ban Smaug and I would ban the Iron Hills Chariot, so I don't have to do any rulings relating to those two models.
I just embrace the chaos and make terrible rulings and just be like, sorry, TO rules. And yeah, there you go.
Also known as me and John TOing Master.
I mean, if you, Champions Chariot and Iron Hills Chariot in particular coming along and having a like, that's if someone did turn up with those are a bit annoying. Fortunately, Champions Chariot isn't really a big issue below like 1,000 points. Although to be fair, one of my main points I want to run a tournament at would be like really large. I still haven't quite worked out how to do that, but I had this theory that I wanted to run like a 1,500 point tournament, but have like a quite a low maximum model count, so you just have a shit ton of big heroes and similar normal size armies to keep the games flowing. That was my idea. I don't know if that would actually work. Like,
one way to find out.
Maximum 1,500 points, or maybe 50 maximum is a bit fairer. And then just run all the massive good heroes that people don't usually use and see what happens.
Everyone turns up with Gandalf the White allied in everywhere.
Realistically, the most problematic models are Smaug, Champion's Chariot, or Iron Hills Chariot in general, and like Bombadil. Bombadil more because he's a little chode.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to ban Goldberry if you ban Bombadil.
Yeah, exactly.
So, to be fair,
you can let people try and bring it. Yeah.
Broken.
Yes, my lord, 2350 says my comment got read. Swoons. Well, I hope I've made you swoon again because I've just read your comment again.
It's a combo.
It is a combo. It's a wombo combo. He's only just got back up and I've knocked him down again. Wade Hudson 9776, quite glad for this comment, says no David Farmer this week. Could he not bear the shame of getting Shadowfax's rules wrong? Check the tape. A will point. My understanding is A is singular. Stephen wins 1 VP to 0. Well, it'll be the first time I win anything versus Dave in a long time.
I mean, I didn't specify a number of will points. Like, I admit I was wrong in saying that in what I actually said. But if you say a will point, like, I know how many will points Shadowfax has. So if he has a will point, he does have a will point. He also has another will point.
That's a very Ed Ball answer.
We don't. Yeah. Speaking of which.
Speaking of which,
be pedantic, and I won't be pedantic.
Speaking of which, Mr. Edward C. Ball says, first, eye emoji. You were the first.
Being bald.
Yeah. Oh, very cheeky. Very cheeky.
Yeah, he's been keeping an eye out for this one because he won a tournament. Good job, Ed.
Yes. Well done, Ed.
Yeah, he's that win does actually put him clear of. He's not joined number of firsts in hundreds anymore. He's now out on his own, which is a notable achievement. So well done.
Yeah. Ed is now the most successful GBHL 100 player of all time.
In terms of victories. He was already most successful in terms of podiums. So.
Yeah. Congrats, Ed. So yeah, that was the podcast. Thanks everyone for coming along and listening. Thanks, Jordan. Well done for winning yet another 90. King of the 90 you are.
Jordan O'Brien dominance will bore fans of the Any Heroics podcast.
Now, what I would want to check is, was there a bar at the venue?
No bar. So
see, that explains it.
That's why. Because I didn't start drinking.
He channeled all his desire for pints into gameplay.
For those of you who haven't heard the story, at the finale, I was worried that Jordan might beat me, so I started buying him drinks at 10 o'clock in the morning. And he didn't beat me.
Pine Man Jordan is elite, but also he doesn't play SPG as good.
No, he doesn't.
8 beers deep. Because I don't think anyone does, really.
It's difficult.
It has been quite eye-opening. The last couple I've gone to that I've like suddenly started hitting podiums and there's been no bars, and you're like, is there a correlation between starting drinking at 11 in the morning and winning events or not? The jury's still out. I haven't made my mind up yet. I'll have to do a bit more research into that one.
It's weird because whenever you do an experiment with the events with bars, the data just gets lost, so you have to go and do it again.
The data just is not conclusive.
One day I'll figure it out.
So yeah, thank you everyone for coming along to listen or watch. Thanks, Jordan, for joining us. Very kind.
Pleasure.
Go win another 90, and then you'll have to come back on again. Remember to check out 7 City Collectibles, link in the description. Support your Hobbit hobby. Remember to comment, like, share, subscribe. And until next time, happy strategy battle gaming. Be good people, and chitter chitter.
Chitter chitter.
Chitter chitter, you fucks.
Dave ostracizing even more of the audience again.
Oh yeah, that's my job, isn't it?